this prep, I have so much more energy. Um, I'm balancing my work life, family life, social life so much better.
That's
I'm making sure I'm filling up every cup, you
right.
know. So I'm spending time with family, spending time with friends, going to events. I'm not saying no this time,
That's
never like, hey, let's go out and do this. I'm like, sure, I'll be there. Alone with my meal, with like my stuff already pre-planned, I'm still there. And I think that's what makes this time so much enjoyable. It's like I'm so happy. Like I'm just at peace and I'm just like cruising along and things are going really, really well.
Yeah, I can definitely see the changes in you, like as a whole. Being with you, like during this process, even the last time we were in prep together, and when you recommended me to go to Celestial Fit and do her program, I learned about, not isolating yourself. And I think that's the key point to prep, which is something that I never did myself. I'd always isolate myself. I wouldn't go anywhere. I wouldn't hang out with people. The only events that I would do is really with my family, and I would be sitting there eating my meals. So I think that makes a huge difference in terms of your happiness and your mental health is not isolating yourself, even though you get to that point where I find you want to isolate yourself. But
Yeah.
I think not doing that is key.
Big and that, huge because honestly does, really focus to make that change in your mind where you don't have to know how you're gonna get tired. That's the reality of the prep. Yeah, you're gonna be hungry, but you shouldn't have to say no to the people that you love. At the end, prep is prep. But when that's over and done, did you neglect your family and friends not going to be there at the end of it because they're far more important than stepping on stage in
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
reality. So,
Can you lift up your phone a little bit, babe? I don't know because you're cutting out a little bit and there's some parts that I hear and some parts that I don't. Sometimes that happens when you and I video chat, I swear.
oh my god. Well, yeah, because you know what it is that the speaker is on the bottom, and I just have it sitting on this thing.
Yeah, that's probably why. So I'm sorry. I'm cutting you out of your meal.
That's okay. I will continue to eat anyway. I might
Um,
move my phone to make
so
it.
you find your mental health is better because you're not isolating yourself. And I think the other thing too that you and I were discussing the other day is not having a set date in mind when it comes to going into a show, which is very strange for me because I'm the kind of person that needs that end goal, that end date. And I think that's going to be a battle for me if I do decide to compete again because I need that date. And I literally don't know how you're doing it, but it's definitely benefited you in so many ways because your stress level is so low that
Mhm.
you're not holding water. You look fantastic. Your body is going the way it's supposed to be going. So, what made you decide to not have a date?
Um, Honestly, I feel like just based off last prep and how I felt really trying to grind so split down and then not like feeling as though I was ever ready. So it was just like it was so time sensitive. And when I feel like I have so much pressure and so much relying on a specific time, a specific date, and then if I'm not ready, then I'm stressed and I don't want that. So my whole thought process behind this was just, start dieting down when I'm ready to make that jump into that again. I was in off season for like 7 months,
Yeah.
and that part was really, really different. But then when I'm like, hey, let's go ahead and make that change and let's diet down, I'm just like, I'm going to let my body decide when I'm ready to step on stage again. I'm
Yeah.
not going to rush anything. It's
Yeah.
not worth it.
And I think
So,
I think that's amazing because that was my main thing too when I was preparing for the last show that I did, which was Jim Morris. I was so stressed out because my hamstrings weren't coming in. And it was a huge deal for me because my body is so stubborn. Like I don't know where you hold fat, but my lower body is so stubborn that I have to do way more cardio than most people because those damn legs and those hamstrings will not come through, right? So
Yeah.
I definitely think long term, if I do decide to compete again, that I will be just letting my body do what it's gonna do.
Yeah, sure. And I think that's like, I don't know. I just find it's just worked better for me. And I think even for you, if you were to step on stage again, that it would be a bit of a hurdle, knowing you like that timeline. But at the same time, I feel like it'll allow you to feel more ease,
Yeah.
going into that. I wanted to ask you actually, like, since you've done far more shows than I have, what was your favorite show and why?
I think the first Jim Morris show that I did with you was probably my best experience, and SAF. Those are my top two shows. The reason for the Jim Morris is just because you and I were together. I felt like I had a friend. I felt like going through that whole experience, I had the support. And when it came to show day, we had so much fun. And I think that made the experience so much better. But in terms of SAF was my favorite because I could showcase my personality. Where in CPA, I feel like you're a bit of a robot. And that's how I feel about it, and like I don't know if CPA is for me. I haven't really decided whether I'm going to stick with competing with that federation, not because it's a bad way to go. Like my dream was obviously to become a pro, um, but I have to come to terms with reality. Like, it's never too late to be a pro in life. Like, I want to put that out there. It's never too late. But I am 32 years old. I have two young kids, a 5 and a 7 year old, and it takes a lot of sacrifice and a lot of time away from my family. And I think that's the thing that I've realized since doing my shows of how much I've actually missed out on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then when I went, like, SAF was probably just the best outlet that I could do, or the best show I could do, because I was able to demonstrate my sexiness and my personality, and I could strap my stuff and like whip my hair if I wanted to. You know what I mean? And I think that makes it so much fun. So it's like maybe I should go down the WBFF road.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking because that's like more my style. I love the sexiness. It's fun.
Yeah, it's much different. And I like watching the girls when they pose for the WBFF. I feel like they just have so much fun.
They
They're so
do.
themselves. And I love CPA as well because you can still incorporate a little bit in your posing, which is fun. But they do have a structured pose.
They do. They have big time structured posing, and I find the posing is the hardest part. And
So
and that like it's so difficult, right? So with staff, like yes, posing was important, but it mostly came down to your stage presence and like how you presented yourself and your confidence and all of that. So it was very different. You know what I mean? Like yes, that comes into play when you do CPA, but it's not as free, if that makes sense.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's what have the federations that provide different types of just different style. I think it's fun because then you can find something that suits you the best and
Yeah.
still bring your dreams to a reality. So
Hi guys. I'm just waving, saying hi for everybody that's joining. But yeah, I don't know whether I will compete again. I don't know. I'm still on the fence and I've dove into my business so much and I find it's really helped me grow because since I kind of took my mind off competing, I've been able to put so much focus onto my clients and I think it's just so important because during my time of prep I was kind of shitty in that department. You know what I mean? Like I was still a good coach, but at the same time I was tired all the time. And I was moody and it's like I don't know. Like I wasn't a good coach. I'm like, no, I don't know if I'm gonna do this for a bit. Like I need to put my focus on other people and like their goals and their needs. And if they want to step on stage, like I know how to prep someone for a show just from my own experiences and what I've learned about nutrition. And I will tell anybody to do it, but to also do it for the right reasons. And that's one thing I was gonna ask you, like, are you doing this show for the right reasons? Are you doing it to see your body super lean or like what's your reasoning behind competing?
My reasoning behind competing, well, originally it was like a bucket list kind of thing where, I've come from a very different extreme. I've seen myself very, very lean as we competed. But I've also seen myself extremely obese, so it was more of a challenge to myself. I've always been competitive in nature. When I was younger, I competed all the time skating. So it was kind of nice to apply that competition aspect of myself into
Right,
something that I've become so passionate towards,
right.
health, fitness. So I'm like, how can I take that and then apply it? So I was like, let's just see what it's like to compete. And then it just lit a fire in me again,
Yeah.
having something to work towards, a goal, bettering myself, not just physically. It's not always about what's
Oh
on the
no,
outside,
no.
the things I've learned about myself and
Yep,
just life
yep.
mentally, being in prep or in like an off season and dealing with the struggles. And it's really, really cool, just like honestly, what you can learn.
Yeah,
And then now it's just taken me into like a whole different, you know, path. And
yeah.
it's not just about a bucket list anymore. It's about bettering myself physically, mentally, and always challenging myself. And I find that makes me happy.
Yeah, and I think that's amazing because when I went into it, it definitely wasn't for the right reasons at first. Like when I was young, I wanted to compete and I was approached to compete, but I was like probably about 18 at the time. So when you're 18 or 19, you're not dedicated to compete, let me tell you that. Like unless you're, really, really driven at that age, which is few and far between at that age, as far as I'm concerned, because you're in high school or well maybe not. I graduated at 17. So but when you're young, it's just like, you've got other important things to do, right? So when I first competed, I think it was because I just wanted to see my body at the best point that I could get it. I totally get like challenging yourself and everything. I've never been a competitive person when I was younger, and I was lazy as hell when I was young, and I never did really any sports. I tried, but I wanted to win everything. I just wanted to have it handed to me when I was young. Didn't
Mm.
understand like hard work, you know what I mean? So this whole process has been totally different and a learning experience. And you're 100% right. Like you learn something new about yourself almost every single prep. You learn how strong you are and how you can handle things that are thrown at you while you're basically in this horrible caloric deficit by the end and struggling to get that cardio in, and you're dealing with all these things around you, and how you push through is really insane.
Yeah, it is insane, and it's really cool, just like, and it's not even just like in the moment too. It's things that you can apply later in life, like
100%.
just being aware that you can push through when times suck, because not everything is going to go as what we want it to go, and there's going to be obstacles we have to overcome. And I feel like when we experience these crappy times, then we can take it into our future and, apply it there also, which is really, really cool.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. Yeah, no, I do love the stage. I miss it sometimes. I miss getting glammed up, but sometimes I'm like, I can get glammed up anytime. I don't need to
Have
step
to
on the
glammed
stage.
up for a photo shoot.
Yeah, exactly. So I
Yeah.
mean, I would never deter somebody from competing or stepping on the stage if that's what they wanted to do. I would just hope that it would be for the right reasons, because it can definitely have a negative impact on you like it did for me the first time, like I didn't have a healthy relationship with food.
Yeah.
And definitely one thing that when I went through what I went through after the Jim Morris, and from the experience, I think it was, it's okay to have the mindset of a champion and the mindset of winning and keeping your mind so focused on that trophy, which is really good because you're working hard, but you also have to go into it with an open mind, and I didn't, because you cannot control who's going to show up. You can't control what the judges, oh fuck the judges, like their moods can affect everything as far as I'm concerned. Like You know, it depends on the judges. It depends on everything. Because I've had shows like the very first show that I did, which was, oh my God, Coburg.
Mm.
And I was blown away by some of the winners. Like, I'm not putting them down or anything, but there was a couple of girls that, like, literally had no muscle, like, none whatsoever, but they won. And it changes every show. So, going into a show with a mindset of just being open-minded, I think is the most healthiest way to do it. You don't do it like I did. You know what I mean? That's what
Yeah.
I'm saying. Do it open-minded, no matter what the placing is, we made it to the stage. And I think that's the most important mindset to have when you're going into a competition. That's the mistake that I made, I think. And the nerves got the best of me that show. You know that.
Yeah.
You came and
Yeah.
watched me.
I was like, man, I'm like, this isn't the Alexis I remember at last Gym Morris. I was like,
Nope.
she's confident. She came up here. She's strutting her stuff. And then I watched you and I'm like, dang, like her nerves got the best of her
Oh,
that day. And that's like the first thing I told you.
I know. I don't know what happened. It was just like something took over and my entire body was shaking and I almost fell a couple of times. I'm like, what is going on? And
Mm,
I watched an interview once with a pro and she said that sometimes that just happens. Like your nerves take over you and you can't help it. Like
mhm.
sometimes it just takes over. But I mean, I think that was a process that I kind of went through alone as well. And I think that made a difference too. When you don't really connect with the other girls, because you're not going to connect with all the girls, right? We all have
No.
different personalities. We all come from different places. I'm super genuine and nice to everybody. As long as they're nice to me, I will respect anybody, right? So I just feel I didn't really connect with anybody at the show. So I
Yeah, this last one, right?
yeah, so I feel like it can make a difference. You weren't there with me backstage. We were pumping each other up at the Jim Morris show and we were having
Yeah.
so much fun. And I feel like that really makes a difference in your overall experience when you're
It,
competing.
and that's what okay, so I have like, I love the community of girls in in the bodybuilding, specifically, doesn't even matter, bikini, wellness, whatever. Everyone is so supportive.
Yeah,
But I do find that sometimes, like when we're prepping, we kind of become we're just kind of like a different person when we're getting super, super close
we
to
are.
our show, and we're a little more to ourselves, I should say. So yeah, it is tricky. Like, I'm just grateful, like every time that I've gone into a show, that I've had somebody there that I felt, where I could do what we did, like at Jim Morris, where I felt that bonds with. So I do think having that connection does make the show experience.
Yeah,
However, I do think that, like, being, like you said, also being open minded when you show up to any competition, that you already have that, you walk in already feeling like a winner regardless of the outcome. When you're actually up on stage, if you walk into that show and you step on that stage knowing that you've won because you already got your butt to that stage and you grinded to get there, I feel like you're going to walk out without any negative feelings. You're going to be super,
100%. Yeah, and
and
that's
you're going to be like content with whatever
Oh
happens.
yeah, and that's the thing is that's the mistakes that I made. Is I
Mhm.
didn't do that walking into the show. It was just like I'm winning, that's it. It's over. Like it's just that's not the way that it works and you can't have that mindset and it's just but it kept me going if that makes any sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
During my prep, like it's a lot of work prepping for a show and people there's so many people I want to compete, but they don't understand how hard it is because it,
Hmm.
it is one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life. It's harder. I feel like it's harder than being pregnant. It's harder than having a kid. At least when you're pregnant, you can push the baby out and it's over. It's done. You're good. Try to get back to normal. But with a show, it's like you're grinding every single day, no matter how tired you are, no matter how hungry you are, because the end, I don't know about you, but the last 5 or 6 weeks for me is absolutely brutal leading up to a show.
I think, yeah, I started to feel like this the other day too. I was like, man, I'm starting to actually really feel tired But I also have a very strange schedule where it's like, I wake up super early, like super early, and I go to bed super early. So when it comes to like 7 p.m., like that's almost a cutoff for me. And I don't want to really do too much outside of that.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, you do get tired. It's a long process. You are putting your body under extreme stress.
Yeah.
Your mental state is in chaos because
Yeah.
you're battling all these things. So yeah, it is really really tricky, and I think like if anyone does want to step into that world of competition prep, to do your research and just fully understand what it is that is not even, I wouldn't say expected, but like what to expect, because well, your prep will look different from anybody, but I mean, it's
Yeah.
a lot.
There's
It's a
people
long
there's
time.
people out there that don't even have to do the amount of cardio that I did. Because some people respond so well.
Mhm.
My coach M, she can do 30 minutes of cardio leading up to a show. I'm like, you bitch, it's not fair. You know what I mean? Like, it's not fair.
Yeah, it's amazing how like different everyone is and how we all respond, and it's really cool just like how everyone's body and genetics are. But yeah, I remember you telling me how much cardio you're doing. I'm like, sheesh.
Oh my God. I remember like an hour of cardio first thing in the morning before the kids went to school. Send the kids off to school, do my classes, do my work, do my workout, and then another hour later on in the day. 2 hours of freaking day plus weightlifting, 7 days a week. I wanted to die. It was horrible. Horrible. But
Yeah, but
I,
it's worth it.
yeah, that's the part that sucks, and the shitty part is
Mhm.
too is it's not sustainable. Like I think that's the biggest thing that people don't understand too is like, there's tons of photos on Instagram, for instance, and I'm going to throw this one out there too. I can actually pinpoint who's in prep and who's not now. And I'm actually happy I can do that because as a woman, it's so hard on your mental health seeing women on Instagram, whether it be filtered or not, where they have these incredible bodies and you're like, oh, I wish I looked like that. Meanwhile, they're actually in prep. And sometimes they're honest about it, sometimes they're not. It depends on the person. But
Mhm.
they're in prep and they don't look like that all year long. So I think that's a big thing to put out there as well is that this type of physique that we get is not sustainable. It's not something that you can keep up. Like, number one, it's super hard on your mental health, super hard on your body, your hormones,
Mhm.
everything.
Yeah, you're right though, because I feel, and I get this too, and I don't like think anything bad on these people that bring these things up to me. But they're like, wow, like you're losing so much weight, you look so good, and all this. And it's very humbling to hear at any state, whether, you're super lean or you just look healthy. And I think that's the difference, that it's just a skewed interpretation upon whatever, I guess, some sort of standard that the media is portraying of what is healthy, or lean.
Yeah.
And like if I was to look like this all the time, I probably would be super unhealthy.
And
It's
miserable.
and yeah, you know, because your girl likes cookies, your girl likes these things, and the reality is, when you're prepping, you just don't have as much of those things, and that's actually like one thing that I've been trying to balance is like food profile, like palate taste. Like I have my savior, I have freaking chocolate every day, but like, small, small, small amounts.
Yeah, and that's the thing too, is I had my interview for the radio. It was on 105.9 today, which is
Mhm.
really cool. And she was talking about the 80/20 rule and, eating foods that you like still enjoying life while trying to lose weight. And it's important because I feel like you can incorporate dark chocolate or even a chocolate bar or something. You could throw that into the meal plan and still be able to lose weight and still enjoy life. And I think that's so important because we're always told to dieting. It's a terrible word. I like lifestyle. I don't like the word diet. I feel like
Yeah.
that has such a hidden like that's what causes a lot of issues with a lot of people. You know what I mean? Hi, Kyle.
I agree with you. And like, I don't know, there's just so many different, I don't know where my brain is going with this thought. So I'm going to just
I'm gonna
disregard it.
call that prep fog. That's another thing that sucks about prep. I know. I get it.
Your mental clarity is just like,
It's all good. No, I just mean that, you know, all the fad diets out there like keto and all the bullshit, I don't believe in it. I feel like just living a healthy life, carbs are super important. And, you know, a lot of people are like, "Oh, we need to cut the carbs." You don't need to cut the carbs.
no,
No
absolutely not.
need for that. It's not sustainable. If I want the freaking donut, I'm gonna go eat a donut. You know, you can't tell me that you're going to stick to keto for the rest of your life. And I mean, there are certain people out there that can do that, but I'm not one of them. And I also don't believe in coaching that way.
Yeah, I have like mixed feelings between any sort of actual diet because I do believe there is that like anomaly of individuals that would be best suited to be on something like a higher fat diet or a higher carb or whatever the case. But again, that's super specific to that individual. So it's
Yeah,
like, you know, you see someone that's like, hey, I lost X amount of weight on this diet, but okay, maybe that works for that person, but it may or may not work for you. And also, is that going to be sustainable for you? Because at the end of the day, whatever is sustainable, whether it's like a balanced intake, you know,
yeah,
80/20, whatever the case, that is where you're going to receive your results. You know, it's not just pick a fad diet and jump from this to this, you know, it's not going to reward you what you want. Also,
exactly.
hello from Toronto.
Hi, I'm from Barrie.
I'm from Cambridge, but Toronto's a fun place to be.
Yeah, Toronto can be fun for sure. But yeah, no, it's really nice talking to you, and I want to say that I'm proud of you, like watching you go through this prep, like I can really see the difference in who you're becoming, and you just seem happier and your health is in check because that's so important. You know, I remember the last prep, well, both of us, but I think you were worse off than me, like just, you know, the low blood pressure, the fainting, it was awful.
It was scary. I
Super
honestly didn't
scary.
even know if I was going to pull through and be able to actually compete. That's how bad it got. I mean,
I
I was hospitalized a couple times. Like, that was scary. But no, this time definitely feeling amazing. And thank you so much.
You're welcome, babe. No, it's nice. Like I'm a huge I love supporting other people and seeing them win, and I think that you're gonna do awesome. And
Thank you.
just I hope that my hope for you is just after this prep that you continue in this mental state, you know, because I find every show is so different and it can affect you in a mental way that you didn't know. And I think that was the thing is I didn't know that I would go through so much after Jim Morris, that I would go through the mental battles. Like first it started off was I didn't think the show would go the way it did. You know,
Yeah.
so that was the really hard part of dealing with it. Like I just dealt with so much like why wasn't I good enough? You know, I went through those feelings. I went through like, oh, if she didn't show up, then I would have won. Like it's just all these different emotions that you go through when you're competing. And and then I went through like not being able to be on track at all. And
Yeah.
binge eating. Like binge eating is so difficult, such a hard battle to go through. And I think I'm finally pulling through. Like ever since I did that program that you recommended, like I can't say enough. Like guys, if you're listening,
Mm.
Celestial Fit, she's amazing. She came up with a 7-day free program that helps you develop a better relationship with food, and it makes you think of things that you never thought of. Like I we learned about identity and like identities that we take on. Do you remember that day where you had to write down an identity?
Yeah.
So my identity was I took on the identity of being a competitor and a personal trainer. So, but that was a really bad identity to take on because I felt so guilty for not competing and not being super lean and not being like this ideal physique look. So in turn, I felt like, well, nobody's going to be inspired by me if I don't keep competing. It was a really bad feeling that I had, and I had to battle through that. So those feelings that I've gone through since April have been up and down for sure. And then since I got COVID, it's been really difficult for me to be super consistent, like I was telling you the other day, because I think it's a fear because my back has been so bad since COVID that I'm almost scared to work out or lift heavy because I don't want to pull my back out, right?
Yeah.
So I'm still dealing with things, but I'm not stressing myself out like I did before. I'm not, if I have a cheat meal or if I go out and I have something that maybe I shouldn't have or it's off meal plan, I don't stress about it anymore. And I think that's the most important thing because when we stress, our bodies produce cortisol and makes us hold water, makes us store fat, everything else. And if you take that feeling away when you're eating those foods or doing those things, your body won't react in a negative way. Does that make sense?
100%. Yeah, you've grown a lot since that last show. I remember just like how much you struggled, and it sucked to see. Like, and it sucks for me to see anybody go through those things because I know because I went through it. I just went through it quietly. I didn't really share a lot about my post show experience just because it was hard. It's so hard to see your body change. It's so hard to understand why it's happening and to make that connection in your head. And
Right.
when I reached out to Celeste and got that opportunity to, have that program,
Yeah.
um,
I've
it definitely,
even, y- yeah, I've even recommended it to my own clients that are
mhm,
struggling. You know what I mean? Because I can only help so much and I do what I can as a coach to like give the support where it's needed. But when it comes to like a super hard relationship with food, I always recommend Celestial just
yeah,
because she knows what she's doing. She's a psychologist. She knows how to deal with those things. And I just learned from my own experiences and what I've gone through, right? So I try to relate to everybody. Like I feel since I've gone through this experience, I have more sympathy and more patience with clients than I did before,
yeah. It's
right?
like you can almost understand differently. If someone brings up, okay, well, I'm struggling and I went off the rails and I did this. Well, it's like, well, now you can sit there and be like, okay, well, maybe let's have you analyze why you're doing that. And it's not like,
Exactly.
oh, do that, it's so bad, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
You're approaching it differently, and
Yeah,
that's really
I've never gotten mad at a client. I can't say that.
yeah,
I've never yelled at a client. But before I would be like, that's an excuse. Where because
yeah,
I was always like, you need to dedicate yourself. Motivation's bullshit. I still feel that motivation is bullshit. That will never
yeah.
change. That will never change with me.
You're always
It's either a lifestyle or it's not. And I feel what's the way where I was going with this, but I just feel like life hits you in the freaking ass sometimes. And you go through so much shit. You either get sick, like I've been sick more times than I can count this year,
yeah,
shit that goes on with your family, maybe stuff's going on at work. Like we all have these little things that overwhelm us or stress us out. So I feel like there I understand more, if that makes sense. I understand more and it's made me a better coach for what I've gone through. I feel like I had to go through all the bullshit to get to where I am now. So I'm kind of thankful that I went through rocky that rocky road. You know what I mean? Like it was shit when it was happening, but you got to go down here to get up here. You know what I mean? Like we all go through our shit. So it's just like how you get out of it and how you become stronger is the main thing,
yeah, 100%.
right? So, yeah, I don't know. It was really nice talking with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we kind of covered like quite a bit. Does anybody have any questions that has joined in at all? Maybe? I guess we'll wait and see if anybody types, but maybe
I'm just
not.
gonna Otter. I accidentally joined your live. Sorry. Be sorry.
Do you want to say hi to Jess? No? Okay.
Well, hi, Callie.
Anyways, well, I'll let you go. It was super nice to talk to you, and I'm sure everybody will stay up to date on your show. And yeah, did you pick a show before I let you go?
I think so. We'll just have to disclose that maybe when it comes a little bit closer.
Yeah, for sure.
Hi.
All right. Well, I hope you have a great day. I'm proud of you. Keep killing it.
Thank you.
And
Proud of
I'll
you.
be here enjoying my life. And maybe one day I'll step on stage again. But to be honest, I'm happy that you're struggling and I'm not. But I love
Girl,
you.
I ain't struggling that much. We're doing pretty good.
I know. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I remember there would be days though you'd message me and be like, "Oh my God, I've got 40 minutes of cardio." I'm like, "I'm just
Yeah.
glad it's you and not me." But I
Yeah.
love you. Like sending love.
Love all your way, but
Yeah.
you can grind, not me. I'm
Yeah.
gonna chill here.
I'm proud of you though.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I hope you have a great day, babe. It was nice to
You
have
too.
everybody join and
Thanks
hopefully
for
we'll chat
joining,
soon.
everyone.
What's that, babe?
I was just like, thanks for joining, everyone.
Of course. Yeah. Thank you, everybody. Have a great day.
Bye,
Bye,
everyone.
babe.
You're
Bye.
welcome.